Welcome to the Mindful Runner podcast. This is our Mac 200 miler series in which we interview as many of the contenders as we can. Today we are joined by Jamie Fensham, a rookie to the distance, and I'm really interested to hear what Jamie's got to say about the upcoming race and his preparations. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Thank you so much for having me. T-minus less than 2 weeks now.
It is, right now we are deep into the race.
Yeah, I think we just passed 24 hours in. So yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Jamie, tell me a little bit about your running background and where did it all start for you?
So running background is I've done Drakensberg 100 miler, Carcliff 100 miler. And before that, I think it started quite a traditional way with a couple of half marathons during university days. Wanted to do then my first marathon and build up to Two Oceans Ultra. That was 2015. In the Cape, did a whole bunch of marathons, loved the distance, loved the Two Oceans Ultra. It was an incredible event. And then I think you get to a stage, like with most things, when you've done a whole bunch of marathons, the question is, do you go faster or further then? And the speed side of things, I really didn't enjoy it. The shorter distances are brutal, and I still to this day find a 5 or 10K effort really painful and not enjoyable. The longer efforts are just much more my cup of tea. So yeah, I went further. Park 100 miler was my first 100 miler, which I did the first attempt in 2018, and then I did the first 50 miles and pulled out at the 50 miler mark. Actually, I was living in China at that time and flew out, landed on the day of the race in Joburg, drove down, got very sick in the first hour of it. Suffered through the first 50 miles and learned an incredible amount, as I think we do when we fail these things. I had to go back the next year for redemption, and I did my first 100 miler, which was lovely. Did Drakensberg, and now wanting to do the 200, which I'm very excited and nervous about, but very excited about.
Sure. And why the 200 and why Mac of all places? What's enticing about 200?
So after Drakensberg, I did not actually enjoy that race. I suffered a lot during that race. It was an interesting experience. Trained, I was very well prepared for it, and in terms of time, was very happy with my time. But I had a bit of a crisis of purpose with these things and why I do them, and took a bit of a break afterwards. And then sort of started enjoying, which was the best thing to do. Just took a break from the running and then slowly started enjoying the running again, built up. And wanted a new goal, the 100 milers. Having done 2 of them, it's not that you can do all of them, but it's not as scary anymore once you've done 1 or 2. It was a challenge that I knew if you put in the work, and I knew it was doable, and things might of course go wrong as they always and often do. But the 100 miler wasn't quite, it didn't have that same appeal, that same scary factor to it, that fear factor. And when I thought of 200 miler, which I think just from following the American ones, like Courtney Dauwalters do the Tahoe 200, and it just gives that little bit, it opens that curiosity to, in America, they're becoming so big, and you're just wondering, this was a couple of years ago, wondering about them. And that thought just stayed in my mind, just wondering about them. Mac being, I'm based in Joburg, so Mac being right up the road, or not that far at least, was definitely doable. A t-shirt falls in our school holiday, so that was a win-win, and decided to give it a go. But that fear factor of it really, motivates the training and motivates the excitement behind wanting to do something like this. I certainly do want to do more 100 milers, but doing a 200 miler really is something quite out there. So that was the main reason.
Yeah, and you use one of my favorite words there, curiosity. It's definitely that sense of, is it possible? Can I do it? And you want to feel like that on the start line. I think anyone who stands on that start line knowing that they're going to finish is just a little bit deluded, be a little bit afraid.
That's definitely an important aspect. And I'm finding it interesting with the thought of, okay, so say afterwards, would you, like, do we then go further? Do you do a 300 miler or what's next? And so that's why I find that question or that aspect of it quite interesting. I don't actually know how important it is with, like, as I said, I do want to do another 100 mile. I've never done Addo and you stand on those start lines and you can do a 100 miler distance, but it still has that aspect of not being as safe as a 5K where a lot can go wrong and will go wrong. And I think for me, from the 100 miler distance, it always has that aspect of you don't know whether you can finish it. I was watching Cocodona, as I'm sure we all were, to an extent, and I found Cameron Haynes' story leading up to it quite interesting. He mentioned something, he was one of the runners, Cameron Haynes. He mentioned something before where he was like, he doesn't know if he still has it, that factor, that toughness, because he's done the distance before. So it's that curiosity of, do you still have it? Which I guess would be why we go and later we'll stand on the start line of another 100 miler, because you're asking yourself the question, do you?
For you, in the preparation for something this big, what's the most exciting thing about preparing for the race?
The most exciting thing, I think, has been the feeling of being fitter and stronger and the confidence that it gives you when running, and sort of not related to Mac in a sense, but just spending time in the mountains and finding a love for being out in the mountains. I go to Delstrom quite a lot and spend time in the mountains out there, and it's just been so exciting when initially with training you're almost forced to do massive efforts and a lot of mileage and work, but when you wake up and you don't necessarily want to go for a run that day and you just want to lie in bed a bit longer, but you end up going and you just have the most amazing day out and the most amazing day in the mountains or just the most amazing session. That's a really empowering feeling and confidence building feeling, which I've really been enjoying. And it's been a big theme of my build up to this, is doing it in a sustainable way. And I'm excited for the challenge of after Mac to I'm challenging myself to still keep up with the training, still keep running, still keep not just cool, ticked off, it's a box ticked off and everything can go out the window now. But I really want to challenge myself to keep up with it and still have a love for running and being in the mountains and pushing, and so that's been really exciting.
Yeah. And the flip side of that, the most intimidating thing from the training?
Most intimidating thing, and the thing I'm actually now at the final build up finding quite scary, is the health aspect and trying to stay healthy, injury free. I think it's the longer distance, the further you go, especially like with Mac now, the more important just being healthy is, just being injury free, working out the niggles. With the shorter distances, you can get away with maybe not going in at 100%, or the consequences are a bit less. But I think the best favor you can do for yourself with an event like Mac is going in feeling good, rather being a bit undertrained, having done a bit less mileage, but your immune system's strong, you've worked out all your niggles, and you're going in with the ability to suffer and the ability to, not have it be hard right off the start line. So I'm a bit nervous about that. Now I'm like, I think we all are trying to do this taper and not do too much. Every time I go down the stairs, I'm getting a bit nervous. Like, just take it easy. I don't want to roll an ankle now or something. And then, the most intimidating part, I think, is being so unknown. Training for 100 milers, very similar to 200 miler, but at the same time, it's almost like you're telling yourself you should be doing triple the amount of mileage you're doing, and you should be doing, I don't know, 200 mile weeks. But knowing that that's not the right way to do it. But at the same time, it's quite scary then when you're telling you got to keep believing in yourself and saying, okay, you did 100 Ks this week, and that's enough. You don't need to go and kill yourself doing some more. So I think that's been cool.
Yeah, just not knowing whether you're putting in enough effort for the magnitude of the event. How's your training gone in the build up now? And any big learning curves? I mean, you've prepped for 100 miles before and you've run ultra. What's been different in your training now?
The biggest learning curve I've had in this build specifically, especially in comparison to the 100 milers, is the importance of nutrition. In the past, with running a lot and burning so many calories, had a big feeling with you can eat whatever and you get away with it. And to an extent, you do burn off a lot, but by eating really cleanly and focusing on the right amount of protein and getting in your carbs and all your vitamins and the supplementation that goes along with it, the compounding effect it seems to have on how you're feeling is really been incredible. I've really enjoyed that. You can get away with eating rubbish, but the effect of eating healthy has just been really, really amazing. So I've been enjoying that. And been enjoying the balance that I've created. I started out with saying, I don't want to lose myself to this training. I don't want to be doing so many hours that you're neglecting your family, friends, personal life, work, which is quite an easy thing to do when you have so much pressure on the training. It's so easy to tell yourself, no, you need to put in hours and hours and hours every day. And you look at the pro runners that do that and you think, okay, now I've got to be doing the same thing. But by focusing on quality over quantity and really takes a bit more discipline, but it allows you to have a much more sustainable way of training. And I've had a lovely couple of months of training leading up to this race, and looking forward to doing some more in the future where I can carry this through. So yeah, the training's been really balanced, is the nice way to say it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good. From a strategy point of view, you don't have to give away any secrets here, but what's your general strategy for fueling, for pacing, for when you're going to sleep, your gear choices?
No secrets to give away. And I think I've also enjoyed that with the community, and you chat to Elof and Fricky and Jared, and looking forward to meeting everyone else there. But everyone's very open with what their strategies are, what their secrets are. It's not even secrets because everyone just shares everything. What works for them, what doesn't work for them. I think we, especially with Mac, aren't involved in something where we're looking at beating each other by seconds or trying to win some massive prize money. And even then, if I look at what's happening overseas, the Americans, they're becoming a lot more open, and a guy like David Roche is sharing everything he's doing. So yeah, I think we're such a nice community where we're so open like that. So no strategy. In terms of goals and fueling and pacing, the biggest goal is to finish. That's the main goal. So under 90 hours, I don't know, 88 hours, 85 hours is a nice ring. However, as I'm sure we all do, we have read on a podcast somewhere, we all have these secret goals.
The
Yes, that's the
secret goal.
public goal that I'm saying. But I think my secret goal, which isn't secret because I'm saying it, but my secret goal is like that 80-hour mark. Sounds just so nice, and I think is the right strategy as well. So I'm going to go for sub 80, be bearing in mind that when things do get a bit tough, or maybe not tough because you still push for that 80 hours, but if they really fall apart, it still leaves you with that leeway to, okay, now just take a couple of minutes or just walk it in, it's still possible. And then you're achieving that goal of finishing. So yeah, the secret goal is 80 hours, and that's definitely what I would love. In terms of fueling, lots of real food and lots of options. What I've learned in the past is I might go on a run now and love jelly babies and sweet things, and then in the run it's so nauseating. You want some more real food that's less sweet, or vice versa. So I like having options, especially in my pack. So it's lots of a little packets of where there's like Oreos, jelly babies, and then some cashew nuts and some like food bars, both types, like a plain one and then like a nougat that's a bit sweeter. Having the options, even at the drop bag at Mac Hut, and trying the different foods. I'm excited for the foods at the aid stations and having that variety is very, very nice. Gels, I'm thinking of using for like caffeine purposes. So having a couple of gels with caffeine in my pack. So probably they're going to like Thursday night, depending on sleep, and there's like Friday morning, Friday night, maybe having one or two gels with caffeine. I think those will be vital for staying awake out there.
Yeah.
And then having one or two gels, but I think I'm going to try and stick to as much real food as possible, and then I have water in my one soft flask and a bit of water in my pack, and then one flask with a hydrate, so like a Revive or a Drip Drop or a Tailwind mix in the one. So just variety is what I'm going for, and then being adaptable throughout. So if I'm seeing what this is not working or my stomach's upset, then being able to adapt and having those options.
It all sounds pretty sensible to me. Obviously, we don't have crew for the first 50 odd Ks, and I think the first time you see crew, actually, it's not even the first 50 Ks. First time you see crew is at Mount Sheba, right? Are you going to have crew there for that?
Yeah. My girlfriend and parents are going to be there. So it's quite nice because we start, and then I think at Cylon Hut, they'll actually be able to go to Cylon. But I mean, it's what, 10 Ks in, 9 Ks in. So I think you can see your crew again, but it's like, cool, cheers. And then we see them the following day at Mount Sheba. So the second time then coming back to Mount Sheba, that's when I'm thinking of planning on having that first sleep. Looking at like maybe like an hour and a half nap there. Again, I'm trying to be, well, from what I've learned, and I'm still learning, so any advice, I'm very open to any advice, but thinking of being very adaptable. So I'm planning on having an hour and a half nap there on that Thursday night. But I think, it's one of those things where if you are feeling good, I think push through 2 pilgrims, turn around, and then but at the moment, having that hour and a half nap there, and then my parents and girlfriend will be there, so I think that'll be a huge boost. And that side of the course, you can actually end up seeing them quite a lot. So Crystal Springs, and then down in Mortconson again, back to Mount Sheba. What a bit of a running around for them, and then back down to Pilgrims. So looking forward to seeing them a lot there.
Yeah, that back loop always feels like you're in an infinity loop because you go to Mount Sheba again and again, and then again and again. So,
and it's short intervals,
you've connected with some of the other 200-mile runners in the last while, right? And have you got any decent advice out of people?
Stunning, and it got me. In terms of the advice, is the water from the stream. So going in, you think, okay, the first section's 50 Ks, but being a bit relaxed about it and not needing to carry 4 liters of water. There are lots of streams along the way, as I've seen now, and you refill your flasks and you go from there. So there is water along the way. You don't need to worry too much about that. Sleeping, from Frikkie and Elof, just being told that don't try to be a hero with the sleeping. I don't know. Humanly, we can push ourselves into the 60, 70 hours without sleep, but the effect that has, so rather sleep early. That's what I'm thinking, like Thursday night, hour and a half. Even if you are feeling good, just get that hour and a half in. Because if you try to delay it too late, that has big consequences. So sleep early. So that was a nice bit of advice. The real food, and I'm learning from everyone sort of as I go, and you seeing what works for someone and then trying it as well in training. So the real food's been nice. The pace of the race being slower means I find you're not like redlining it the whole time, so you can eat some proper real food. So that's been nice. Everyone I've met that's doing this, the attitude that they have towards this has really been quite inspiring and quite relaxing in a sense. The more people I meet, the more relaxed I am about this race. It's weird. I think maybe you think competitors and you think it would be something that would hype you out, but it's the more people I meet, the more relaxed everyone is about it, and it's really been an exciting journey, and I get more excited every day about it, the more people I meet.
I think that is, to me, also one of the most fascinating aspects of an event. And it's generally going to happen at this kind of event where it's this big and this scary. Yes, we're competing, but it's much more a case of everybody's out on an adventure together, and you're going to go through dark patches, you're going to go through great patches, but it's the only people who know what you're going to be going through are the people who are out on that course with you. Even your spectators and your seconds, they're not the ones experiencing the event. So the bond that comes out of this is massive.
And the competing aspect is lots of us, it's competing against the course, trying to just finish this challenge. I know for like myself, I'm not competing against anyone per se. My finishing place is irrelevant. It's really the goals. But that being said, even with the guys competing, yeah, like you say, it's a very encouraging community and a very supportive one that I don't think a lot of other sports see, where everyone just wants each other to do better. And um, like I mentioned with the secrets, you want to share something, and if it ends up helping someone else, I don't think anyone's going to be feeling bad about sharing that thing. Like, oh my word, I can't believe I gave him that tip, and he
Yeah.
ended up beating me. It's like we're all just genuinely happy for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think if you put in the training, there's no special secret that's going to mean I'll beat
Exactly.
you or you'll beat me. It's like you've done the work, get out there now and just execute. What does success look like for you when you finish the race?
This is something I've been working on and thinking about quite a lot, in the sense of it not being about the finish. The goal is to finish, and I mentioned the times, but it's one of those things that I started off with as well. I mean, I entered months ago, and when I entered, I thought about it quite seriously, being that the success is not about finishing. The success for me is about enjoying this event as much as I possibly can, and finishing it having loved every single moment. And obviously, we have very dark times and very painful times. So it's not necessarily about laughing through the whole thing and smiling through the whole thing, but really enjoying it and embracing it and being present for this event. I learned that lesson with Drakensberg, training for that race, doing the race, just wanting to tick off and finish Ultra Trail Drakensberg, and I did. And at the end of Ultra Trail Drakensberg, it was quite a disappointing feeling. I was like, okay, I finished this now. But I really, throughout the run, was like, okay, I just need to finish it, and I just need to get down, just up that last mountain, just down. There's the finish, and just keep going to the finish. And then I finished, and it was over, and went home, and it was like, cool, tick in the box, change who I was. Having those realizations now looking outside, and it was an awesome lesson to learn. Same for Mac. I'm realizing, well, having learned that, I know when you finish it, it doesn't change who you are. Couple of weeks or months or years later, it's not going to change anything. But what will change is how you experience the race and how you finish. And that really matters. How I run the race and how I suffer and how I deal with the pain is important to me. How you go into the aid stations and how you treat the people, how you treat the competitors. Yes, you can be in a lot of pain. But what's important for me with Mac and where I'll be happy with afterwards, irrelevant of whether I finish or not, is how you finished it. And I want to do it with a lot of respect for competitors, respect for the course, understanding that it is quite a selfish thing we're doing. It's very much for us. It's enjoying, 4 days in the mountain. And I'm having a thought of it's selfish thing, so why not just enjoy it? Like if I'm not enjoying it, why am I out there? Why are we doing this? So I'm really wanting to be present and not take it too seriously, not overcomplicate it. It's tough, yes, it's painful, but understanding the privilege that we have and how lucky we are to be doing this and to spend a couple of days having one goal, one foot in front of the other in such a beautiful place. So my ultimate goal is really to just enjoy it and embrace this challenge as much as possible.
Yeah, that's healthy. You'll come away sane at the end of it.
Definitely, yeah.
From a preparation point of view, do you feel like more prepared physically or mentally?
Sure. More prepared physically or mentally? I would say it's quite interesting because they're so closely linked in a sense. Because the physical preparation, when I think of that with the climbs, but I want to say mentally, and I think mentally is the right way to be, because I think physically you almost can't be prepared enough, and that's what I try to make peace with, in the sense of I'm feeling strong and feeling fit, and going up the start, and going up to the boss, cool, you'll feel good. But you're gonna fall apart in some manner or form at some stage, in the sense of you're gonna get tired. To what degree, we'll see, but it's gonna be very tired, and your legs are gonna get very sore. Your feet, everything's gonna get sore. So going in thinking, okay, now I'm physically prepared, I'll be able to physically do this, no problem, I think is a bit naive, in the sense of physically you're gonna fall apart. So for me, mentally, I'm really is where I'm, especially in these last couple of weeks and in the pot, is where I think the build up has been the most important, where I feel the most prepared to overcome when it does get physically difficult to keep going. And like I mentioned, to keep going with the right attitude. I'm very nervous about, I don't know, like when you're out there in the dark alone. I'm nervous about like, feeling sorry for yourself because then you're in this world of pain and hurt and you're feeling sorry for yourself. So that's where I'm thinking about like, no, that's where I'm needing to come up with a couple of mantras and really prepare myself to, this is why you're here. It's why we signed up for this thing, and that pain really teaches you and makes the happy moments and the easy moments so much more worth it. So, makes the view at the top so much more worth it. So, no, the mental preparation is definitely where I'm focusing.
Visualize this. You're 200 Ks in. What are you most curious about learning from that point, from that 200K mark? Well past 100 miles now. What piques your interest about you in that moment?
The way that after 200 Ks, you're on the home stretch, you're on your way home, how much you can enjoy it when the body is just completely given up. I'm really excited to see the power of the mind in that sense, where you've been hurting for a good period of time by that stage. I can already see it from chatting to others, and I've already felt that when you're on that home stretch, you do get that rush and those extra bit of endorphins that kick in, that feel good feeling. It is curious because it's inexplainable. Someone that hasn't done it, hasn't been there, you can't explain to someone how you're feeling good at that stage. And it's a feeling good where, yeah, your legs aren't pain, your feet aren't pain, but you're really enjoying where you are at the moment. And I'm curious about how it's going to feel to try and enjoy that. It's going to be, I think, a massive challenge, but I'm curious about whether I can. Not so much whether I can finish or whether I can carry on. I think that's what I've been trying to say with you can suffer through it, and mentally we are capable of so much, barring extenuating circumstances and something going really wrong. But you really can just put one foot in front of the other and suffer through it. But to do it in a way that you're enjoying where you are still. I want to see if that's possible. That's my challenge for this. I want to be 200, 250, 300 Ks in and enjoying it. And I don't know, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm certainly going to try it. Yeah, still seeing the flowers. I don't know, taking photos of the beautiful forests and jungles. I want to take a photo by the waterfall or something. I don't know if it's possible. Like, obviously now it's easy to say, but it's a very different ball game out there. So that's the goal. That's the challenge.
I firmly believe it is. You can still feel the joy. Maybe it's not in the pretty scenery. Sometimes it's just the joy in where you are and the fact that you've made it that far and that you're pushing on. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff at the back end of that. And the thing that we noticed, well, I noticed on the one that I got a bit further in, is that from about Mac Pools, which is at 220 Ks, the remaining 200 milers at that point, you're in the 100-mile field. The remaining 200 milers, we're taking a lot of joy in running down 100 milers. Yeah. And everybody, all 6 or 7 of us, were running at that point. Everybody was smiling and enjoying the event, like really enjoying it, which was bizarre because we were well over 200 Ks into it. So the joy is still there, man. Because you're going home, once you get to Mac Pools. And for me, I've said this, I don't know how many times, Mac Hut is my kind of, it's the place I run for because that means we've only got 55 Ks left, and that's the home stretch. That gives me a lot of joy when I get there. It's like, yes, now we're going home.
No, I'm looking forward to that feeling, and that's sort of a bit of a game plan for me as well. You mentioned like running down the 100 milers, but throughout the race, I think that's a big game plan of mine is having a bit of a one step at a time attitude. Not necessarily just a one step, but having, okay, let me just get to like that tree, or okay, let me do 5 minutes of running. Or when you see that one person, it's just need to run them down. And it's such a powerful tool, and it's incredible how you can be suffering for so long and then just aiming for the next lamppost. We talk about road running, but somehow you found like energy stores that you didn't think you had. So Yeah. No, I'm very excited.
What would you say to somebody who's watching from the sidelines, somebody listening now who's maybe thinking they want to run a 200 miler? What advice would you give to anybody who's sitting on the sidelines thinking, maybe I want to do this 200-mile thing?
That you need to find that sustainable way of training that is enjoyable to you and that works for your schedule and that works for your lifestyle, that works for your body. We're all very different. The training that works for someone might not work for someone else. And to take advice and listen to different people and different sources, but you need to see what works for you. I think training for especially the longer races like the 200 milers takes a lot of training and over a long period of time. And in order to do it over a long period of time, you have to do it in a way that's sustainable, where you're not getting injured and that you're enjoying it. Because if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to be putting in as much as you could. Yes, you can suffer through afternoon run every day kind of thing, but you could be doing a lot more. And the only way to do that is if you're enjoying it. So, like for me, I've been enjoying my gym in the morning. So the early morning run, I've been suffering. It's really tough for me. But there's something about that I find for me where with getting up and having some water and a hydration shake and then going to gym and I'm on that stair machine. That's quite easy in a sense. I can do that every single morning. And then I do a run in the afternoon. But for other people, going to gym in the morning just does not work for them. They don't enjoy that. I just enjoy the ease of the gym. It's aircon, especially when it's summer and it's raining. And for me, I can do that every single day of the entire year, weekday, weekend. I can go to gym in the morning. So that's for me and I do enjoy it to an extent. And I've got my friends are German, and so I can do that every single day. So you got to find that way of training that's sustainable for you. Don't necessarily look at what someone else is doing and think, okay, no, you got to go and do K every single morning. Yes, it might work for some, but is it fitting in your lifestyle and is it working for you? I think that's been the most important thing. You gotta find what works for you. So yeah, that's been a nice lesson for me. And then for the 200 miler, is that I guess I'll only be able to give advice on this after I finished it to see whether my training has worked or not and whether my mental prep has worked or not. But that's what my gut is saying, is that the discipline it takes of training every single day, putting in the work every single day, builds that mental discipline that you need during the race for when it gets really tough to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. You've done it for months. Yeah, my advice is find what works for you.
Yeah. Jamie, thanks so much for sharing. And it is a massive journey. It takes a lot of bravery and, as you said, a lot of work as well. And building that self-confidence, right? And going out feeling confident, knowing that you've put in the work. And there's a lot of unknowns coming up, but I think talking to you now, you're balanced, you've got your head together, you've done the right training. You're going to have a great race.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you in 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Less than 2 weeks.
I'll see you there.